Hey guys, what's going on? Watomarmelon here today, and today I'm going to be bringing you a Thanksgiving market watch. So happy holidays to everyone who celebrates. Starting things off, we have the card that is really headlining the newly announced Maze of Memories set. Oh, before I begin, as always, make sure to click the links in the description. I'll try to link everything that is on eBay in the description below. If you just click any of the eBay links in the description, that puts a cookie in your browser, and any time within the next 24 hours that you make a purchase on eBay, I get a small kickback as a part of the eBay affiliate program, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. So I really appreciate if you do click the links. And it doesn't even have to be any of the cards that I've linked. Anything on eBay does work. But starting things off with the legendary Swordmaster Black Luster, this is a card that is going to headline Maze of Memories, as I said, which is a collector rare set. It's not actually one, excuse me, where you can get a Starlight rare. So getting the Japanese version in Starlight or their prismatic secret rare is the best you're going to be able to do. It's going to be the shiniest version. You guys know that I love collector rares, and so if that ends up being pretty affordable in the TCG, I'll definitely pick up the collector rare. But this is one to consider. It's only $35, which really isn't too bad. $35 for a really shiny card is never too bad. And so this is one that I would personally consider picking up. I really like these DM era retrains, and especially when the artwork looks quite nice like this one. And the rarity looks quite nice, like the Japanese Prismatic Secret. I'm a huge fan of this. Also, Midori Game, the seller on eBay that I've linked for this listing and for a lot of listings. One, I've bought from them before, so they are definitely reliable. But two, the more important thing is that they have, I believe, a coupon for 20% off. It might only be today. It might be, the entire Black Friday weekend. I don't know exactly how it works out, but I would look into that. I don't know where and what regions it's applicable and for what products, but always check that sort of stuff out. Next up, we have another DM era retrain, this time of Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. We have Perfect Great Insect. Again, a nice Prismatic Secret Starlight. And so, this one's only $23 with best offer. You can probably get it for even cheaper if you offer to the seller. It just looks really nice. This is, again, one that I'm considering picking up. I love the artwork. I love the rarity, and it's really not that expensive for how shiny this card is. So this is one that I've been looking into. Next up, we have one that you probably have seen before. This does have a TCG Starlight Rare, but it's going to be, probably 4 to 5 times as expensive, much more affordable on the Japanese side, and it still looks very, very beautiful. It's the Illusion of Chaos out of Battles of Chaos, I believe. This is one to consider, $40, really, really nice card. Beautiful artwork. Again, a DM era retrain. I'll talk about this in a video on my main channel, but I'm really getting into sort of collecting modern stuff, specifically these modern Japanese prismatic secret rares that are Starlight Rare equivalents. I just think they look amazing, and, they're really, really more affordable than what we can collect in the TCG. And so you just get a lot more bang for your buck. So I'd recommend checking them out. Also, one other thing is they have a lot more cards that end up in this rarity, and so there's a lot more to collect. You're not really limited to the 5 Starlight Rares out of core sets. They're just, I think there might be like 10 to 20 of them per set. So they're really, really cool. Next up, we have Blackwing Assault Dragon. This, I don't believe, has a Starlight Rare in the TCG. It's the Blackwing Dragon Retrain, and it's only, $30. You might be able to find it for even cheaper from a different seller, but, it's just a really, really nice card. Again, not that expensive for what it is. I'm much more willing to pay, $20, $30, even $40 for these, prismatic secret rare Starlights. And for the Japanese versions, where the English versions would cost, hundreds of dollars. So I'm really happy with this thing, and again, one to consider. Next up, we have Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingman. This only had an original print, I believe, ultra rare in the TCG. And modern ultra rares with the colored stars or the holofoil stars and attribute sign, I don't think look as nice, and so this did not get a high rarity printing in the TCG. So look to the OCG. It really only costs $33, which isn't that expensive. And it's just a beautiful card. A lot of times these sort of stock images don't really capture the beauty, and this doesn't fully capture it, but you can even see how incredible the rarity looks on this thing. And if you're an Elemental Hero collector, this thing's never going to get a Starlight Rare printing, and it probably won't get a Collector Rare or an Ultimate Rare. At best, you're looking at a Secret Rare in the TCG, and so picking up the Prismatic one, I have picked one up, looks really, really nice, and I'd highly recommend it. I've also had some of the Ultimate Rares in the OCG as well for this card, and those look awesome as well. Alright, moving on to some TCG stuff. We have Ghost from the Past 2, Cyber Dragon, Ghost Rare. I mean, I didn't anticipate how cheap these things would get. I knew they were going to get cheap, but I didn't think it was going to be this cheap. And this thing still has close to 100 listings on TCG Player, the most out of any Ghost Rare. And so I can only anticipate that this thing is going to drop even more. Although, who actually knows? As you can see, this thing, you can find it for $47 pretty easily. There are tons of listings for this card. I don't know. I guess it's a race to the bottom on this thing. I actually think it looks incredible. I have a playset. I've pulled 2 of them. They look really, really nice. And I've always said that Ghost from the Past 2, it's a great starting point because, I can spend less than $50 on a Ghost Rare of one of the most iconic monsters, or I can spend $50 on, like, a modern Secret Rare or, like, a couple modern Secret Rares. I don't know. I think it gives you a lot of bang for your buck, even though obviously it's not that hard to get. But I will say that even though they really upped how easy it was to get Ghost Rares, it was like twice as easy, they did double the number of Ghost Rares. So it's still, I think, close to around one in, a case usually costs, like $700. It's still about one out of every $700 spent will result in a Cyber Dragon Ghost Rare, I believe. And so the thing is, there's so many other Ghost Rares to bring up your value, but I mean, to me, it's still surprising how cheap this thing actually is. And this is something, again, I'll talk more about on my main channel, but, this is the sort of product that I expect is going to get eaten up over time. A lot of these things, they have their initial hype and they might slowly get bought over time, but this is something that I think there's really going to be sort of a sustained interest in these Ghost Rare that it goes from the past 2. So I imagine as collectors come into the space, this is what they're going to look at for a lot of their starting points, because these cards are beautiful in my opinion. I will say, there are a number of factory errors and print defects that make them not so beautiful, but if you can get a clean copy, these things look awesome. The next Ghost Rare to look at, and the only other one we'll look at, is the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, about $40. I have one of these. Beautiful card. Again, basically everything I said about Cyber Dragon is true for this, except there are fewer listings of this one. Kind of a race to the bottom, $40 for a Ghost Rare Blue Eyes Ultimate. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy. If you asked me a year ago, I would have thought you were insane. It's reality now, and to me, these are sort of the best pickups for the value of modern cards, to be completely honest. Now looking at some Starlight Rares out of Battles of Legend Crystal Revenge, we've got all the Exodia pieces. Exodia Head, I don't know why they still don't have an image there, but you can get one for around $340 from a verified seller, $150 on left arm, probably close, $160 on right arm, $155 on the left leg, around $150 on the right leg. So, $150 or so for each of the 4 limbs, and then $350 or so for the head. You're coming out to around $950 for the full set. Pretty expensive if you ask me. And then if you look at the Japanese version, you can get the whole set for $185. Just something to consider. Just be cognizant of that, because if you're a collector and you're not playing these cards in some weird, like, Exodia troll deck, we've all got budgets. And when one limb costs almost as much as the entire set in Japanese, for me personally, I'm not picking up the English set. I'd much rather go after this Japanese set that is just so much cheaper and the cards look identical. It's just not exactly identical. The foiling's a little different, but one's Japanese, one's English. I don't know. You make the decision. Just keep this in mind. And the final thing we'll look at is I wanted to, just give a take on a lot of these Battles of Legends Starlight rares. I mean, the highest one is definitely Access Code Talker. Yeah, it's close to 600. I can't really speak to that. I know it's a very sought after card and very strong card in competitive play, so it's very expensive because people who play the game want it. Same thing with Warlord Savage, I think, to a lesser extent. I don't know how much play it currently sees. I imagine it's still some. Beautiful card. I really like the white synchro, or the synchro Starlight rares. I think they look really, really nice. Super Poly, I don't know. I think this is not going to perform well. I imagine the Ultimate rare is going to really compete with this thing. And personally, I'd rather have the Ultimate than the Starlight. Also, the Starlight is like dirt cheap in the OCG, so who knows? If you're trying to collect this thing, just get the OCG version for a lot cheaper. Exodio, we've sort of gone over. Yatagarasu is one to talk about. I mean, $135 or so, $140 for a Starlight rare. That's interesting. I really like Yata. The original Print Secret, I think, still takes precedence over this Starlight rare, but it's one of those things that's, it's kind of unique. This is always going to be an iconic card for its role in sort of the creation of the TCG's ban list. So it's something to consider picking up. And if you're a huge Yata fan, I mean, I don't know what this thing bottoms out at. It's not really something that's playable at all, even though it's now unbanned. So I don't know where this thing will end up. And then the final one is Blackwing Armor Master. I really have no opinions on that. Not everything can be super expensive, and so I imagine it's just going to continue to fall out. But let me know what you guys think. Some of the other cards are cool, like, you have Blackluster Soldier Secret Rare for only $8. These sort of mid-rarity cards that are short printed in Battles of Legend often perform quite well, and so I'd keep your eyes on these things, because if I presume Toon Blackluster Soldier won't get another reprint for a long time. And so you have Toon Chaos, which was sort of a set that was produced at the peak of sort of supply chain issues, and so there isn't a whole lot of that out there. Additionally, the Ultra Rare was difficult to pull out of that, and the Collector Rare was obviously very difficult to pull. And so there aren't a ton of copies there, and I think the Secret Rare looks better than the Ultra Rare. Not quite as good as the Collector Rare, but it's those mid-rarity options that it's short printed. There are only 33 listings if you look at it right now. So this is a lot of people have their eyes on this card, and it's something that could be taken off market, especially, over the next 5 years. I imagine it won't get any reprints that are higher rarity than Secret Rare, and it might only get one other holo reprint. And so, this is something that casual collectors will just take off the market. So you got to consider it while it's cheap. But it's been your boy Watomarmelon. As always, click the links in the description to help me out. Let me know what you guys think. Are you going after any of these Starlight rares, any of the Japanese prismatics? All that sort of stuff is great discussion. But peace out.